impact of COVID-19 on business is, of course, massive, not just in South Africa, but around the world. Most businesses are running at major losses. Let's try and find out the extent of what is going to happen with economist and analyst Maudi Lenswane. Maudi, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So let's talk about the impact in particular on South African businesses. We've seen some restaurants even deciding to shut their doors.
Yeah, Shahan, I mean, we are in the midst of a storm, a perfect storm, where there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of things that we still don't know because, you know, you've got to understand we still don't know how far and how long this pandemic is going to last. So the impact, the real economic impact is only going to be known until we know for sure as to how long this is going to carry on for. But it's certainly very significant. It's massive. I mean, you look across a number of other countries as well, just the impact that it's having. Literally all countries are now locking down and not allowing visitors to come in. The economic activity is on a standstill. So it's going to be very massive. It's to quantify it, this, I think, is still very early, but we're certainly going to know in about a month or two just how severe this is going to be.
Of course, you'll see fewer people going out to restaurants, etc. And if they do close their doors, what's the likelihood of them having to shut down after a month of not having any business?
Very, very high. I think a lot of businesses are certainly going to be under a lot of pressure, and we are going to see some of the businesses really closing down permanently because to recover, particularly if you have to close down the business for a month or two. We're already operating in a very difficult economic space where business is under a lot of pressure. And I think this virus couldn't have come out at a very bad time. And I think there will be some casualties. A number of businesses that were already weak are going to become weaker. I think it's a time where it's very challenging. We need to see the government pulling from all sectors and try and support some of the small businesses. They need to come up with measures to support some of the small businesses. It has to be a concerted effort across everyone. The financial sector, the banks need to work with some of the small entrepreneurs to make sure that they allow them the space. If they default on a month or two, I think they should not be harsh or take harsh steps. There should be a room for them to give them a little bit of time to be able to recover, because this is this is very massive.
Yeah, so of course we see in Italy, for instance, some banks are saying you don't have to pay your mortgage for a couple of months. Do you think South African banks will actually go that far and give people some relief?
It's a good measure, but you know, it's definitely a good plan that they have. We need to look into those methods and make sure that we really work together as an economy, because the pressure, it's massive, and I think it's going to be felt for many months to come. You know, the number of other businesses where they rely heavily on people moving around. For example, if you take the taxifiers of this world, the Ubers of this world, those are some of the companies that those drivers that were making an income. If they can't get customers between point A and B, if there are no customers using their services, they are going to be under a lot of pressure. So we need to really come up with measures and make sure that we support such businesses. They're not the only ones. The restaurants, people are not, I think they're going to stay away as they continue to really take steps to make sure that they don't spread the virus. Those are going to be negatively impacted. How do we support them? Those are the conversations that we need to have as a country and make sure that we support them.
Yeah, and finally, given all of this happening with businesses, what's the ultimate impact on our economy? And do we actually need to see the Reserve Bank cut interest rates like we're seeing happen in other countries?
Look, Shahan, I think the economic impact we know is going to be negative. As to how much, and in terms of quantifying it, at the moment it will be a pure speculation. I mean, if we just look at the previous pandemic, such as the Ebola, it has had a negative impact on economies, to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. So you can expect the same here. It could be worse, especially given the fact that this particular pandemic seems to be a lot more widespread, and it continues to increase. The likes of China have managed to really contain it. And I think the good thing, perhaps for the countries that are really feeling it after the likes of China, I think they need to quickly learn from how the likes of China managed to really contain it, and make sure that they take those steps and measures to make sure that they contain this virus. And it's one that they need to move, unfortunately, with speed, because this virus is one that is obviously spreading at an aggressive speed. So if the countries are slower than the likes of China, we are going to see more of a negative impact in those countries.
All right, thanks for your time and your insight. Appreciate it. That was economist and expert Maudi Lenswane.